what is the thing that you can be the only one of these? And sure, someone else might copy experiential video production, but it's not with you.
Yeah.
So what is it about you that's your values and your interests and the things that are going to resonate to where that's the thing that you have with Post Malone and Morgan Wallen to say, I don't know what it is, but for some reason I'm going to go to every concert when they come into town. Your director of marketing at a company is going to go, I don't know what it is, but I have zero interest in AI because there's just something about working with Tyson that I will never trade.
Yeah.
So what is that thing? That's for you to figure out.
Darren Smith, welcome to A Filmmaker's Journey.
Dude, thank you so much for having me. This is an awesome space.
Thank you.
Love the podcast. It feels very special to be here, so thank you.
What have you seen from us, like, that sparked your interest? Do you know a few of the people we've had on?
Mainly clips. I know a lot of the people you've had on,
Awesome.
But Garrett Batty, who you had on recently, is a dear friend. I produced his last 2 movies.
Cool.
So we're tight like this.
Yeah.
And whenever he goes on a show, I'm like, hey, I got to be on that show too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun because it's like we're starting to get these like ripple effect relationships where like we had Luke Johnson on and he got us Garrett Batty.
Yeah,
and
Luke's great.
You. And so it's been fun. It's such a great community in Utah. So
it really is. It's been amazing being here. I'm from California originally.
Cool. But
came here in 2001. The community, I feel like Luke and Garrett's film community was way stronger. I wasn't as tapped in, but I was also like a music major, not a film major. I had an emphasis in film. Yeah. But I have a lot of friends in that. You know, I shouldn't say older, but the the elderly film people that are my friends.
Even better word.
They're all my dearest friends in the film community.
Cool. I guess who else would we know that you've had on? I guess we have like quite a few mutual friends.
Oh, you're putting me on the spot, man. I don't
Jack
know.
Murgis.
I love Jack. So I recorded. We can just go on stories about the guys you've had on this podcast.
It's fun.
Jack Murgis, I recorded his first song ever when we were at BYU together. Yeah. He wrote a song called Our Sun Goes Down. I could still sing it to you. It's an amazing song that sticks with you.
He's such a talented dude.
He's super talented. And now he's all in film and he's doing all this great stuff. Yeah. A great dude.
Yeah, he's one of the good ones. And so I looked at your Instagram. Yeah. You haven't posted in a while.
No, I'm not on Instagram really anymore.
Where do you post your stuff?
I am on LinkedIn, my friend.
Okay, because I was like trying to do some research.
LinkedIn is where it's at. I tell all the filmmakers you got to get on LinkedIn because that's where we're having the conversation. Very cool.
So I tried to re-establish my LinkedIn like a couple of months ago and I just can't seem to keep up with it.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
We'll get off Instagram and then get on LinkedIn.
I'm all in on Instagram.
No, that's good. I'm sure it's definitely better for the filmmaker community to be on Instagram. I struggle with finding the value in being on meta platforms I'm trying to venture into YouTube right now. TikTok's never been a thing, but I just felt more energy going toward the app than getting from it. Whereas with LinkedIn, I get a lot of energy from it.
Do you find
there's conversations happening?
That's great to know because as a producer, do you feel like that's probably because when I think of what I'm doing, I'm creating content personally and I'm showing it. Yeah. Right. And it's kind of a demo reel, and it's that way for a lot of creators. This is kind of an interesting subject going between different platforms, but why LinkedIn for you and how has that benefited?
Well, I think it stems from who's your audience and who are you trying to connect with and who you're trying to get to follow you. I care less about the vanity metrics of likes, impressions, followers, et cetera, because whatever. What does it translate to in real life? Right. Because all that stuff online, I've never seen it translate to anything. I remember I had a post go quote unquote viral on dig.com. Yeah. This is like probably 2 decades ago, like 2006 or 8 or something like that. Nothing happened. Yeah. Like hundreds of thousands of views. Zero impact to my life. The next day it was like over. So from then on, the internet has been this thing of like, why does everybody care so much about these vanity metrics if it doesn't translate to something in the real world? So for me as a filmmaker, and I'm sure we'll get into all of this, but the stuff I'm doing right now, my audience is investors, distributors, marketing people, like the filmmakers that are going to make up the business that I'm building and creating.
Yeah.
And so do I need, I don't want this to sound bad or like I don't value it, because everything stems from the story.
Yeah.
But I don't need more screenwriters in my life. I have a lot of friends that are very talented screenwriters. I don't need more directors in my life. I have more than I have money to give them to make their movies, right?
Yeah.
So it's also this supply and demand tension of like, okay, I have a lack of a network when it comes to investors and financiers and distributors. Let me go where they're spending time. They're not on Instagram.
Right.
And if they are, they're looking at their buddy's golf reel
or their family
stuff, and they're not thinking about, oh, here's an investment opportunity in indie film. So it was really more about where is the audience and what's the context on that platform. And that's why I chose LinkedIn. It was about a year and a half ago. I was like, I'm just going to solo focus on this for as long as it takes.
Yeah.
And I went from like 1,500 to 10,000 followers.
Cool.
Again, whoop-de-doo.
Yeah.
But what happened along the way, I can tell you exactly what happened when I hit 5,000, when I hit 8,000, when I hit 9,000, when I hit 10,000. 2 weeks ago, I got a write-up in IndieWire, which is the biggest indie film outlet out there.
Yeah.
From the editor-in-chief, Dana.
Yeah.
Reached out to me through LinkedIn because she'd been following me and seeing the progress. So, like, to me, that's a tangible, real-world outcome that came from being on the platform.
Totally. That's interesting. Yeah, because we don't put any of our podcast content on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
We put it all on Instagram, and that's where you and I connected.
Yeah.
So it works. But no, I completely understand the direction, and that's where I struggle with Instagram is it's getting LinkedIn. You can see that it gets impressions, but like you're saying, I get nothing from it. There's like nothing coming back from it. And we've got our own products, and we've kind of launched a few things. And so I'm Instagram, social media, Facebook, YouTube's been great for us too. TikTok I struggle with because I don't want to say it's easy, but it's really easy to grow following that's worthless. Like that's I think it's even another level of like putting up content unless you're an influencer that's like trying to drive brands and your own content in a way. But I've got a pretty good following on TikTok, but similar. It's like what's the energy versus the output, and where do you find that? And it's going to be super different for everyone, but
I think it is different for everyone. My hallucination or assumption with Tyson Media is getting on LinkedIn and having a presence there and becoming known by that audience, because all the CEOs, executives, marketing directors, everybody that you're probably interfacing with on the media side of your business, that's where they're spending their time. At least that's what they're checking when they're going to the bathroom in the middle of the day. Sure. Or they're on Instagram Reels. But again, they're looking for entertainment, not for production partners, right? Yep. So having a presence there and becoming the person that everyone thinks of when they think about that thing that they need, that to me is what I'm optimizing for. Yeah. I want to be the guy, the independent film producer that's making values-based, family-friendly, uplifting media, whether it's film or television. It could span all of those. But when someone says, man, I'm really wanting to get into indie film as an investment space, but I've just not found a way to do it responsibly, they go, oh my gosh, you got to talk to Darren. Yeah. That has happened in the last year and a half, and it's accelerating. And so if I can be that guy to more and more and more people, think of the opportunities that start coming my way. Yeah. When I had Mitch Thane on here, Film Lab, I love those guys. He basically pushed Instagram super hard a couple of years ago and became what you're saying, the person that people were thinking about, really out of like necessity because he needed it. Yeah. And he became what you're saying. And so I think that's the whole thing with me for Instagram is a lot of my audience are creators that follow me that want to, either grow business or or create content or just entertainment. And our whole model is built on relationships and referrals. I've never run an ad, and I get nervous. Like, let's say I post every day on Instagram, the amount of work that could come, I'm like, I can't even take it. So it's like that's a good problem. That's right? Exactly the problem you want, right? You want to be oversubscribed. Yes. You want more demand than you have capacity, because you can do a number of things. You can raise your prices. Yeah. You can expand your team and your facility to be able to take on more work. Yeah. You can take bigger clients. Like, all of that happens once you find that, my buddy Dan Priestley calls it supply and demand tension. And, you know, you got to get oversubscribed. That's the only way to be profitable in business.
It's hard.
So I took that and said, okay, well, who am I trying to be oversubscribed with? People don't go to the movies because of producer. Yeah. Like, that's just a reality check moment, right? I would like to think that I have some impact on getting people to show up to the theater. It's not going to be 100,000 or 1 million people. It might be 1,000 at some day. Probably right now I could get 100 to 200 people to go see a movie that I produced. Yeah. That doesn't move the needle at all. So I'm thinking, okay, who's the audience? Where's the leverage? And if I can be oversubscribed to that group, man, there's a lot of leverage there.
Way cool. Did you talk about any of this in your book?
Yeah.
Or is this a different?
It's definitely in the book. And shout out to Dan Priestley. He's the top little blurb there on the back. So his books were very influential in the way that I'm taking what he talks about in business and porting it over to creative industries and saying, look, if you're an independent creator, how do you build a really profitable, sustainable business? Yeah. That's what this book is for. That's
really cool, because that's so much about what I'm most interested in right now is business and taking my creative skills to either build this business or create another business that doesn't have to do with like content creation, but you're creating the content for that business. And so do you talk about a lot about like social media platforms in here?
Yeah,
Let's make sure we shout
I talk
this out.
A bit about platforms. Really, I talk about, there's a whole chapter on what I'm calling the, hey, look at that. There's me. Who's
there
that
you are.
Guy? There's a whole chapter on what I'm calling the craftsman content flywheel.
Cool.
So it's just what you're saying. Like, how do you go from short form content to clients or gigs or investors or whatever it might be? And because that is a missing piece for a lot of creators that are on these platforms, thinking that, 10 years ago, it maybe was the case, 15 years ago, whatever time Instagram and stuff started. There was a buddy of mine who started, and he was one of the first 100 photographers on Instagram. Cool. He was invited on the platform, and he grew to 150,000 followers in the first year because he was a recommended follow on Instagram. Yeah, back then, sure, Instagram was a great way to build a business. Yep. Now, I don't know, actually. How do you get cut through with all the noise that's there? And it's not a photo platform anymore. It's a video platform. Yep. There's a great post by Derek, I forget his last name, but he's on Substack. The post is called Everything is TV. And it's just talking about how everything is becoming television. Yeah. But now it's algorithmically fed, and it's television that you, instead of changing channels on the remote, you just swipe with your thumb. Yep. And you don't have to be following anybody. So how do you build a business on there? I don't actually know. Yeah. But what I do know is that you can use content strategically to get people off the platform. And those are the quote unquote true fans that you can then catalyze to say, come see my movie, invest in this opportunity, come work with me, whatever it might be. That's certainly possible on social media today.
One thing that I've been doing that has gotten people off the platform and kind of utilize the people that aren't even following me is leaning into the algorithm with content that have you heard of trial reels? Trial reels? Yeah, it's a new feature on Instagram that's it's actually becoming pretty popular. But I was told about it probably 8 or 9 months ago, so it was kind of when no one really knew about it. It's a button on the post page where you're about to post your content. You turned it into a trial reel, and it posts to all of the people that don't follow you. It's basically a free paid ad. And so the cool thing about it is you can take all your top performing content and just re-upload it and just keep putting more headlines. So it's like a cool way to test content. But you do that, you start to generate a bunch of people to come and look at your video, but then you give a ton of value in it. And then you say check out the caption, and in the caption it gives more value. And then at the bottom it says comment this word. They comment that word and it shoots them a mini chat automation. And then it takes them to your website. Nice. So that's a whole funnel. And I think you can actually do it in LinkedIn, but just basically leaning into what you're saying of just getting them off these platforms, no matter what platform you're using, and going
that is the goal.
Put them into, whether that's, having them come check out a book, go watch something else, invest in your business, or actually buy a product. I think that's really cool. I'm excited to look at your book. It's called Blockbuster. Yeah. That's your website.
So the website is craftsmanfilms.co. Okay. And if they go to /Blockbuster, they can, that's this page. You can get a free copy of the book. It's a digital copy, but information these days wants to be free.
Yeah.
So if you want a physical copy, you can buy one of those, and it costs money because it's a physical book that is shipped to you. But, I maybe make $1 or $5 or something every time there's a book sold. Otherwise, it's like, please read the book. I would rather have the information in front of the people who would benefit from it than like trying to be some best-selling author. I actually don't even have it on like Amazon and some of these other platforms because I value the relationship with the reader more than I value the dollars from selling a 99-cent book on Amazon when they discount it. So they understand that, which is why they keep all of the customer data, the email, the address, the credit card on file, etc. Because that's where all the value is with the audience. If you own the relationship, that's how you grow to be one of the top 5, most valuable businesses on the planet. So rather than give them more money, I'd rather build relationships with my readers to say, look, here's a book, and if that's helpful, come over here, and there's more content on the website. I've done probably 150 blog posts at this point.
Cool.
We have a weekly podcast that Garrett and I do together that we talk about every week about demystifying the indie film journey. It's like, I don't have to do all this stuff, but I like doing it and feel compelled to do it because there wasn't a resource like that when I was coming up. I've been doing this now. This is 20 years in this industry, and it was a lot of trial and error. I mean, I already talked about this in the book. It took me 12 years to produce my first movie. That is way too long. So too many, if that were the standard, if that were the average, I'd say 99% of people would give up before they got to that 12-year point. And so it's not to say that I'm special. It's to say that we need resources to be able to help people achieve those creative goals faster. And that's why the book exists.
This is like fun for me, and this is usually my favorite part of the podcast is like finding out what you're up to right now. So like I was saying, I love the business side of film. Do you find yourself, are you teaching more people that are more traditional, meaning features, TV shows, and who in that market are you targeting? Because you've got so many different walks of life inside of that world. Or are you targeting independent creators that are creating, like I am maybe, where they're just creating business or ads and website content, selling products? Or are you targeting the people that are building movies?
It's really for all creators. The hard thing about trying to reach all creators is that's really expensive, right? So the book's called Blockbuster. The 5-part movie framework is the framework for how to do this stuff. So it's very on brand, and it's meant to kind of speak directly to filmmakers. Like they're going to see themselves in it more than maybe other creators will. But I mean, photographers, musicians, dancers, writers, authors, etc., they're all going to benefit from the principles in the book because it's meant to be principle based as opposed to tactic based. It starts with mindset, and then we talk about outcomes and visibility and implementing systems. All those things allow you to then expand your impact. So that's the movie framework. All of that applies in whatever, if you're in marketing, if you're a graphic designer, if you're any of those, it's going to help you because the principles are true principles that apply everywhere. But the examples, I've leaned into the filmmaking examples of like a video production company, filmmakers, etc. It's just so that I can say, oh, I'm the guy that wrote the book on how to make it as a filmmaker, right?
I love it. And everything you're saying is so in line with where I'm at currently. Ben's not at the board right now. I think he's checking audio. I would love you to just check out this real quick, my website. We just launched it 2 days ago.
Oh, nice, man.
And it's seriously exactly what you're talking about.
Dude, that's
Except
awesome.
It's very catered to someone that's, just they're running a camera. They have some clients. They want to build the systems to basically implement more relationships into their business and not just like one-off gigs. But like it's called Creator to Company. Go ahead and scroll down.
Nice.
So inside is like this kind of what you're talking about, where we've got the retainers. We talk about our onboarding system, client content strategy, communication, production, post-production. So I'm really excited to read your book because I want to see what I can actually take from you. And then I would actually love to get you in here if you wanted to check out any of our content.
Nice.
And not even charge you for it.
Okay. So I'm going to ask one question about this. Go all the way back to the top.
Yes.
Who is this website for?
Creators.
For creators.
Yeah. And like your book, it is catered to filmmakers, meaning that's the world I came from. Nice. But everything we talk about is definitely for anyone that creates, that has a service. Creators.
Okay.
So
this is unsolicited.
Please.
I would say turn creativity into a company.
It's almost like the Facebook.
Get rid of the ing. Just because that to me feels more actionable. Yeah. But I love the visuals are amazing. But yeah, like everything I've learned website wise, like marketing wise, and I'm not a marketer by trade.
Yeah.
But like you have to speak to the existing demand in the markets in the marketplace.
Yeah.
So turning creativity into a company, great tagline. And that speaks to what there was Ben Lomu was in our last movie.
Yeah.
But being able to speak instantly above the fold to like, if you're a creator who wants to turn your creativity into a company, that's what I want. So,
are you talking about the name of the company, or are you talking about that headline?
The headline, turn creativity into a company.
Instead of turning.
Yeah. But I love the how you took your logo into and created it too.
That was a
sick.
big thing. Because I used to call it Tyson Media Pro because I did not want to rebrand. I wanted this to be around our systems as a company. And as I just dabbled into it, all of a sudden I realized in that TM there's an O.
There's an O there. No, it looks great.
I actually thought you were telling me to change the logo to turn creativity to company. And I was like, oh,
just the word turning.
Well, we're gonna do that. And that's
that's the screenwriter in me, right? Like it's active verbs and stuff like that. So turn creativity.
Yeah. I appreciate your advice, and I'm reading the book so that I can get it.
Devin
I want to learn a lot of this. Yeah.
Years ago, I did sound for some of his videos, like the Halo video, and this is probably 15 years ago at this point, but it's a good dude.
So cool. Well, we can now make it less about me, and let's turn the story back to Darren. But it's just so funny. I had no idea that, this was going to be the route that we would take this.
Yeah.
What'd you say? Oh, did you really? Turn. We're trying to see if it loads in time. On the spot, updating the website. But it's the whole idea is you buy in, you move into our group community so that much better.
Look at that in real time.
It looks so much better. But once you're in, we've got a group. You're in the community. You get access to all this stuff.
Amazing.
But trying to grow that. But I would love to do a book someday, and I want to. Maybe at the end we'll talk about how you actually went about producing this, so that we can talk about your journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm interested in learning, how you got to this point and learned all this knowledge that you have as far as business goes, and filmmaking, creativity, and turning your creative business. Just kidding. Trying to remember that tagline. So good, man. Let's dial it all the way back to the beginning for you.
Yeah.
And when did it first start for you? And I want to just navigate like what you tried, what you didn't like, and how you became a producer and also an author.
Yeah. I mean, I loved movies growing up. My dad wasn't a huge movie buff or anything, but he worked a ton, providing for the family. And so movies was like how he would unwind. And so that was kind of our time together, which was awesome. Like grew up on James Bond and Three Stooges and just great stuff. And so I always had this kind of reverence for movies. Like they were something you sit through and it's time together with family. It's not just like something you turn on in the background while you're doing the dishes or whatever. So that was instilled pretty early on. I got into music in high school. Like I played saxophone and started some bands, and we played all over town. I grew up in Sacramento.
Cool.
And so I went to BYU here in Utah on a saxophone performance scholarship of all things. Got into music and was quickly faced the reality of I'm not good enough to do this as a career, but I'm in the music. That's my passion. I want to do music. And so it was okay, well, I tried film composing. I tried doing sound. I got into doing recording in studio. That's where I met Jack Murgist. Gotcha. And then I got into post-production sound for film. And I did my internship with a guy named Mike McDonough up in Salt Lake. He'd done a bunch of IMAX films, post-production sound on lots of movies like Forever Strong that came out in 2007 or 8.
Loved Forever
So I was an assistant dialogue editor on Forever Strong, and I worked with Mike on that movie. And I was like, oh man, this has all the stuff I love about recording music.
Yeah.
But, you know, you're talking about millions of dollars of budget with movies compared to a band that maybe has $200 to try and do an entire album with.
Yeah.
Not to knock on the bands or anything, but it's just a different market.
Yeah.
And the hours were different. It was like, man, I could work 9 to 5 and be home at night and work Monday through Friday. Whereas music, you know, I did a touring stint with Neon Trees during their first album. I toured with Imagine Dragons for a little bit and Moth and the Flame. And I was like, you're just gone. I was gone for, 6 months while my wife was pregnant with our first boy. And I came off the road in February. We had our child. She had our child. And then Neon Trees came back and was like, hey, we're going to do a 10-month tour. Do you want to come out with us? I was like, no. I mean, I love you guys, but this is my family. And I don't want the first year of my child's life to be just him and his mom. Like, I want to be there for that.
What were you doing when you were on tour?
I was running sound. So I was doing front of house and monitoring. Like, I was kind of a one-man band with them. And then I always like to say they had to replace me with 5 people because that's what they did.
Yeah.
They built a whole touring production after the tour that I did with them. So
you're valuable at that. Like,
it was a great time. I loved being on the road, but as a husband with no kids, it was very different situation than a husband with a child on the way. And so I quickly was like, all right, if music isn't the thing, then what is? Yeah. And I got all the same enjoyment from doing post-production sound. You're behind a board, you're designing sound effects, you're mixing them, you get to bring in the music and mix that in. You're working with people, you're working with a director and a producer, and you're bringing actors into the studio to record ADR and all this stuff. It's like, oh, this is really cool. I like all of this stuff. And I did that for a couple of years. I had a production company or a post-production company called Soundsmith Studios.
Cool.
Play on my last name.
Yeah.
And it was all about, the craft of, sound for film. I did half a dozen movies, like the full post-production sound on a bunch of indie movies. Did one with a friend named Alan Seawright, who wrote, directed, starred in, visual effect, edited a little indie movie called CTU Provo.
Cool. And
I did the sound on that. And after that, we were just like, man, this was a ton of fun. What are you doing next? So we kind of partnered up and formed a little boutique production company. We were doing commercial video and industrials and all the stuff to stay afloat and pay the bills with the goal of let's make more movies.
Yeah.
And it was, 9 years that we worked together. Unfortunately, none of the movies we wrote together came together. But I learned a lot.
Like you wrote movies and then took them to pitch them, and then they didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, we wrote 5 or 6 scripts and a half a dozen TV pilots as well. And I became kind of the de facto producer of the two of us. And so I was going to AFM and trying to raise money and trying to get distribution deals for these movies. And we would hire a casting director and get actors and try to play it that way. And it just never came together. We raised a little bit of money on one project, but it wasn't enough to do it. So we gave the money back, and we're just like, man, what are we missing here? And that question of like, why isn't this working? It's taking too long. We should have done this by now. That's all kind of in the DNA of the books that I write. And so it was really like, all right, this isn't working out. I really want to go make movies. So I left that business in 2017. And the first gig I took as an independent producer was on a TV show called Relative Race for BYU TV. I didn't work with Luke Johnson there. He came after I was off the show, but did 4 seasons of the show. The last one was like during COVID. We filmed in August of 2020, which was insane because it was a traveling show that we were filming 6 months into COVID. It was pretty nuts.
Yeah.
But I did 4 seasons of the show and loved it. After that, finally got the opportunity to work with Amy Redford on her movie What Comes Around. And so I was a producer on that, and then did a movie with Gary and Julie Arbach called Give Me Your Eyes, a little horror thriller. And then the last 2 movies were with Garrett Batty. So we did The Carpenter in Cape Town, South Africa, and then Faith of Angels in 2023. And both of those came out in 2024. It was actually cool because they overlapped by a week.
Yeah.
So the last 2 movies I did, I had them both in theaters at the same time as an indie producer. And it's like, okay, this is what I want to be doing the rest of my life. So we can get into what I'm doing now, but that's really the history of leading up to now.
Yeah, because I wanted to talk about this like transition from post-production sound to producer. And had you produced anything during these years of doing sound?
Yeah, I mean, hundreds of videos, like everything from documentaries to short films to industrial stuff, commercials and ads and everything that you do as a production company. Yeah. So I became kind of the de facto producer because Alan was directing and editing, which was kind of the bulk of what we were doing. And he was like, not necessarily always running camera, but between the two of us, he had the camera chops. Mm-hmm. So over those 9 years, I got to learn how to run a camera. I had learned how to edit, and I was doing post-production sound and music. So I had a little bit more bandwidth on my side between the two of us to say, well, I can do biz dev and I can do budgets and schedules and basically all the stuff the producer does. Yeah. So I would put the crews together and the shoot dates and the budgets and everything and manage all of that. He would direct and edit, and then we would, between the two of us, we were kind of a full production company. Yeah. So it was boutique, it was small, but it worked for as long as it did, and then it was finally like, we could keep doing this, but that's not what I want to be doing. I want to go and produce movies. So
so like you obviously have the creative brain where you can do the audio and the production, post-production sound, and then you've got this logistical side, which is producing. As you were like transitioning, between the two and kind of doing both, how did you, I guess, did one side benefit the other side and then this side benefited this side? Like, it's pretty rare to find someone that kind of lives in both worlds. So just, and then ultimately you kind of steered towards this more logistical and business side, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I want to dig into.
Yeah. I think that I've often asked, like, what is the craft of a producer? Yeah. There's so many memes out there of like, what's a producer do? Nobody knows. I mean, there was the whole, I was just watching it this morning because a friend sent it to me. Nate Bargatze at the Emmys, 7 months ago or whatever. There's a line in that opening monologue or that opening sketch of, what's a producer do? Nobody knows, So I've thought about that a lot. Like, what is the craft of a producer? And really, you have to span so many disciplines. You have to understand the creative side, as well as, at times, the people that are doing that job. So I have to understand camera and audio and lighting and craft services and costume and hair and makeup. Like, I need to understand it at a level to where, our key costumer can come to me and say, look, we're under budgeted for this line item. I need more budget here, and I'm going to need 2 people tomorrow. And I can go, yeah, you're right, without just going, oh, no. Yeah, well, which is what most producers do. They just say no all the time. It's like, okay, well, I have to have enough understanding of that craft to be able to make those kind of decisions, because I am the one who ultimately makes the call on whether we allocate some of the budget to it or not, or if I'm going to move budget from somewhere else to that because we're out of budget. So the creative side I've always had. I grew up going to the jazz festival in Sacramento. Yeah. I played music. Like, the creative side was always part of who I am, but I didn't have aspirations to be a performer. I didn't want to be the next Dave Koz or Kenny G or Charlie Parker or whatever. Yeah. Like, that wasn't it. The logistics side, the kind of right brain side of the brain, was developed, I think, since high school, because I could see the gap. And to me, that's what producing is going, here's something and here's something, and they should be connected, but they're not. So in high school, it was like, I'm going to this Jazz Jubilee every year, and there's all these bands that are playing, and there's some youth bands. Well, I'm in a band at high school. Why aren't we playing at the Jazz Jubilee? So after the first year of being in a band at high school, I got all my friends together and I said, hey, do you guys want to play at the Jazz Jubilee? They're like, we could do that. I was like, I don't know. Let's figure it out. Yeah. So we talked to our Maz, our jazz director, our music director, and said, how do we do this? And he's like, oh, you just apply and you do this, blah, blah. And so he helped us. And then we had a band that was playing at the Sacramento Jazz Jubilee, which I had been to for 15, 16 years. Yeah. But like, I saw those two things and connected the dots. Yeah. Same thing in college. It was like, okay, there's way more opportunity for me as a sound guy to go into film, because there's like one of those in Utah. Like, Mike McDonough was the guy. Maybe there were 1 or 2 other people that were doing post-production sound. Yeah. There were dozens of people that wanted to open a recording studio and have a recording studio. But I looked at the landscape. I was like, okay, Mike McDonough at the time was probably close to retirement, mid 60s when I was working with him as an intern. And there's maybe one or two other guys like that. There's opportunity there. I could create a post-production sound company and kind of take that place. Over here, you had Scott Wiley, you had Dan Carlisle, you had Mike Chadbourne, you had all these guys that already had established studios, and some of them were even struggling, like they weren't oversubscribed. So I was like, man, if there's that many, and those guys have invested hundreds of thousands of dollars into their setups, but I could be over here doing post sound for 10 grand in equipment and gear and stuff. It was like, I saw and connected the dots of like, oh, this is a more opportunistic or higher leverage path to go down.
Yeah.
And I get just as much enjoyment from either side.
Cool.
It's like, okay. So I think that's all of that together. And then you take 9 years of, producing and the logistics and everything there of the production company we had. I think that's what makes me a good producer now is I can go, let's make really good creative decisions coming from a place where I deeply understand what everybody's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And I can connect it to the part that the creatives don't understand, which is all the business side.
Yeah.
How does this movie get us investors? How does it meet the demand that currently exists in the marketplace for investors? That's not a question filmmakers ask themselves.
No.
How does it meet the demand that exists in the marketplace for distributors? I was on a call this morning with Sony Affirm, big distribution company connected to Sony.
Yeah.
They're doing 10 to 50 or 80 million. I mean, I think they have one that's been done 100 million plus in the box office, but like they're a global distributor.
Yeah.
That's doing tens of millions of dollars on every movie that they do. What are they looking for in the marketplace?
Totally.
And they're looking for wide release movies. So it's got to be something that can get at least 1,000 screens opened.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you're going to do that successfully, you start thinking about the logistics behind it, right? The numbers behind it. So I'm going to nerd out for a second, but 1,000 screens, and you need to make at least $2,000 per screen. So that's 200 people per screen times 1,000. That's 200,000 people at bare minimum that you need to be able to get out to the theater opening weekend.
Yeah.
Ideally, it's more like 1 million. 500,000 would be okay. 200K is just not enough to get a wide release movie that's going to be profitable.
Yeah.
So can your movie get 1 million people to show up at the box office opening weekend? And if you don't know how to do that, then you shouldn't be talking to Sony Affirm about distributing your movie, because that's what they are going to ask you. How are you going to get 1 million people out? And it's not just me as the filmmaker, but they're saying, does this movie get 1 million? Does it deserve? Does it catalyze? Does it enroll 1 million people? Yes, I hope so. But it's not just a hope as a strategy. It's yes, and here's the plan of how we're going to do that.
Yeah.
So that's the part that I'm doing now as the producer, is going, okay, we've got the creative figured out. Mm-hmm. We know how to shoot stuff. We know how to edit stuff. We know how to make good stuff. But there's a disconnect between the marketplace of the investors, the distributors, the audience, the theaters. So how do we bridge that gap? How do we connect all those dots to make something that works for everybody?
Yeah. I love that analogy of connecting things, because it's like I said at the beginning, it's so in line with what I'm trying to do as well. And it's like you're taking these creative brains and they can create, but you're dealing with business owners and people that are like producers or people that are, coming up with the ideas for the product. And now it's like connecting the two and being able to communicate with this side as a creator who doesn't normally create, but they can like say, hey, I make great content. But then it's like, how do I then tell you how that's going to work for your business? And so, like I said, having the two sides of your brain working together is really cool. And I think being able to do that as a creator is so valuable. Being able to just speak to Sony Affirm and speak their language, but then going back to the director and being like, here's what we got to do. And
exactly.
And it sounds like you probably teach a ton of that in your book. That's like the theme. Yeah.
Well, and when I do a little bit of consulting, or I have in the past, with production companies, mainly because they're the ones who want to know how to go from production company to film production company, right? But you look at the makeup of a lot of companies, and it's a director, a cinematographer, an editor, and a VFX guy. Mm-hmm. And you're like, well, who's doing business development? What's that?
Yeah. Wait, we
well,
haven't thought of that.
Who's handling, all the producing stuff? Who's handling budgets and taxes and schedules and blah, blah, blah? And they're like, oh, I mean, I'll do it, and then on the next one he'll do it because I don't want to do it 2 in a row and like that kind of thing. It's like when you have 4 creatives in a business, it doesn't mean you're doomed, but it means that you've got a missing link with someone that's going to connect it to the business part of the business model. And so I've done this twice with companies I've consulted for, video production companies, where I said, look, you've got a headcount of 8 people, but you have no managers. You have a whole bunch of artists. Yep. And you're acting as an artist, as the CEO, because you're the director and you're running camera and you're in every single edit. Yep. It's like, okay, but who's the CEO? Who's the one setting the vision? Who's going out and speaking on stages or being on podcasts? And who's out there drumming up business so that you've got the next year already pre-booked? Yep. And forging those relationships with companies, with distributors, with whoever you need to be partnering with. And they're like, yeah, you're right. So the first thing we do, and it's always painful because they love everyone on their team, but they're struggling, which is why they're calling me. So they don't have money to like hire somebody right now. Yeah. It's like, well, do you need 3 directors at your company? No, you only direct 1 movie every 3 months right now. So you got to let 2 of those guys go, or one of them go, let the other one be the director. You move into the CEO role, and then you hire a manager who's going to manage all the stuff. Yeah. So you need a generalist manager that understands taxes and scheduling and budgets and crews and all that stuff, so that the artist can do the job that they want to do. Because as soon as you tell an artist you got to get into this spreadsheet and start doing a schedule, they're going to be like, no, that's not what I signed up for. And you tell the director they got to sit down and do taxes for the company, I'd rather slit my wrists, right? Like they just don't, maybe I shouldn't say it that way, but like, they would rather do something bad. Yeah. So it's just like, you have to think about it like a producer. Yeah. And what I tell filmmakers all the time is, if you're a writer or if you're a director, if you're an artist filmmaker, you are the producer until you hire one. Yeah. And so the reason why a lot of directors are struggling getting their movies made, a lot of screenwriters are struggling getting their scripts sold, because there's no producer moving it forward every day. Yeah. The job of a producer is create momentum and make progress every single day. Yeah. And without that, it's really hard.
Yeah, everything you just said is exactly how my business is running right now. And I came into this world as a creative, loved to create, right? And I've been at it for 20 years now. And over the last 5 years, I actually realized how much I love the business side of it, and just business in general, and kind of being creative in that world. And I'd be curious to know how good of a job I've done, because I'm doing exactly what you said. I'm doing both. We've got a lot of creators, and a lot of the creators I hire have similar brains where they're able to do both. And it's been a very hard way to hire, but I have quite a few people that are doing it right now. They're project managing, logistics, but then they're also editing, and then producing, also directing. But like you said, my first thing I was going to say to you is like, well, I don't have the money to hire that person. And it's like, okay, yeah, there's an objection I can't overcome. And then I look at Film Lab, for example. They hired Mike, and he's come in and been that person. But like, how do you get that? Let's just say I could go either way. I could just be the creative director, or I could go the producer. Let's say I wanted to just go to the creative direction side and I needed to hire the producer. What's the best way to go about that if you don't have the money to do it?
Yeah. So the order of operations is, number 1, get oversubscribed to where you have more demand than you have capacity. Yeah. So maybe you can do a video a month. Let's just use that as our example. Okay, at the current rate, is it a $100,000 video? Is it a $50,000 video, or a $10,000 video? Yeah. On average, go, okay. Then you figure out if that's your capacity, then you structure your business to be profitable within those constraints. Yep. So let's say the average video is $100,000. So you're making $1.2 million a year. You could probably afford 6 people, because that's $200,000 per head. Yep. The revenue per employee is $200,000. Yep. On average, you're probably paying them $60,000 to $80,000. So you're going, okay, we're profitable. We're at 2.5 times the average spend per employee, which affords the building that we're in, the equipment we have, the upkeep, the overhead, the insurance, the taxes, the everything, right? So for every employee, you need to have revenue that's 2.5 times their cost.
Yep.
So if it's 80,000, that's 200,000 the business needs to make, right?
Yep.
So when I came into this one business, they were making like 800,000 a year, but they had a head count of 7 people.
Mm-hmm.
So their revenue per employee was like 110 grand or whatever the math works out to be there, which is why they were struggling.
Yeah.
And the CEO had paid himself 35 grand the year before because he couldn't afford anything else.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, how great do you feel showing up to work every day, knowing that you're putting in all the effort and working 16-hour days and you got nothing to show for it?
Yeah.
So getting oversubscribed says, okay, now we can charge a premium on every project. We don't have to take the $10,000 and $20,000 things. We can focus on the $50,000 to $100,000 things. We take you and we make you the what's called the key person of influence for the brand, to say, it's kind of like what Talmadge has done and his brother, not Talmadge, but Mitch.
Mitch.
At Film Lab, right?
Yeah.
So like they're branding themselves as like, you want to work with Mitch, right?
Yeah.
So you do the same thing. This is why you want to work with Tyson, to say, oh, you're going to get this kind of outcome and we deliver, and here's all the roster of people that we worked for and the successes we've had. So people aren't thinking they want to work with Tyson Media, they want to work with you.
Yeah.
Right. So you kind of shift into that mode and become the key person of influence in the space that you're in, the e-commerce brands and everything. So everybody's going, oh, you got to talk to Tyson.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to do this. Oh, you got to, right? So now you're charging a premium and you're north of that $200,000 per person. And that's where your profit margin is, to where you can then afford another person. So if you don't want to restructure, then that's the order of operations. Get oversubscribed. So what that means is if your capacity for the next 6 months is 6 videos, go and sell those now and have them all lined up this month.
Yeah.
With at least deposits or down payments or something, to where you can go, okay, now we got a little bit of profit. Now we can go and get a little ahead of ourselves with hiring and finding, maybe right now it's a fractional person that can come in for 20 hours a month or 20 hours a week or whatever it is, but they're not going to cost you $250K a year.
Yeah.
But you're still going to get the benefit of someone who would cost $250K a year. To go, okay, like let's restructure the business a little bit so we have kind of our C-suite people. We have someone who's over finances, someone over marketing, someone over sales, and someone over customer delivery, right?
Yeah.
And then you filter, because right now it's all focused on customer delivery. You're saying we have a director, a cinematographer, an editor, actors, etc. That's all customer delivery. That's creating the product. So shifting over there.
Are you cool talking about all this? Because like, it's
100%.
fascinating.
I love this.
I feel like you were talking about, I feel like you were in my head that whole time.
Yeah.
Basically talking about what we deal with. And I think it's getting harder too, because there's more filmmakers now. Everyone can do it cheaper. Everyone can, AI is coming too. So there's a lot of ways to help.
We haven't breached AI, right? Like you said it. I think commercial video production companies are the first one that's going to go down.
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't have to be people, then AI's already got it.
Yep.
AI can put a product in a scene on a white site. Like it can do all of that cheaper, better, faster, etc. than you can with a camera and an editor and a VFX team. And if the customer comes back and says, oh, we did strawberry, but we actually want to do blueberry, it's a click of the button. Yeah. And you don't have to reshoot anything.
Yep.
So commercial has to be thinking about where is AI in our business right now, and probably even having an AI person on the roster so that they can go and stay ahead of it all. Yeah. So it sucks. Yeah. Because we love this stuff. This is our craft. Like if you zoom out of the main camera, there's 5 cameras and we're in the studio and there's lights. Like I almost want people to be able to see like the setup that you have. Like we love this stuff. We live for it. How much longer do we have to where we can justify the cost of it when everything that this is built for can be done with a prompt? Yeah. It sucks. I hate it. And it's terrible, but it's reality. Yeah. And as business owners, we can't be Blockbuster when streaming's coming down the line. Totally. You know, we can't be fighting to keep the status quo, because that's how we lose. That's how we go out of business. Yep. And I don't want to see creators going out of business. I want to see creators creating businesses and thriving and having resilient, profitable businesses. But unfortunately, since I wrote the book, like, AI is the conversation now. Yeah. And if it's not something you as a CEO are thinking about every single day, especially in this business,
totally.
Man, I don't know.
Yeah, I think about it constantly, and there's a couple things I want to talk about or ask you about. First is the AI thing. So it's on the top of my mind, and every month for even a couple months ago, I was like, I think we're okay. And then I'm actually developing I'm literally just the brain of what this guy can create, and the only issue is I have no ownership. They're one of my biggest clients, and we edit for them primarily. We pump out hundreds of videos a week, and it's like between 8 and 10,000 videos last year. We're talking shortcuts, UGC, just tons of ads, headline iterations, tons of videos. And they have brief writers in-house. And I've been working with them for 5 years, so we become like their in-house editing team that I build all the systems around for us to go really fast. So we have their brief writers. They write the content based on the footage that they've been given, and then they give us the PDF, and we edit the video based on what they wrote, and then we add the sauce, we add the music and the style and the fun to it, and then we give our own thoughts on, like, we think this hooks better, and so we'll give them different versions. So they've got an AI guy, and I've been working with him for the last few months on creating a software that will essentially remove the brief writer. So we've already ingested all of their raw assets into a Google Cloud, and we can now search all that and say, I need this person wearing fuzzy socks, and shows us all the shots because it's analyzing. And so he just figured that part out, and I just told him, I was like, so now he's actually gotten it to write briefs, so it's writing off this transcripts, and it's freaking awesome. But I just told him, and this is actually gonna ruin me, I said, how cool is it gonna be if we can now, which it's going to happen because I've seen how fast he can develop this. It's now going to create the brief, but then it's going to go through all that footage, and it's going to pull the footage, put it into an editing software, put it in order, and then you can train that editing software, whether it's DaVinci or Premiere one day, to edit the way you would edit just based on a video you've already edited. And then it'll do it, and then it kicks it out, and then it tests it. So I was like, if we can take this another step, that's going to be huge.
Yeah.
But I'm telling people about this, and they're like, you're literally replacing us.
Yeah, it's nuts, right?
But like you said, you have
right
to
now.
Embrace it.
That's happening right now. Yeah. And what's crazy, I mean, this week or last week, the new version of Claude and the new version of everything came out, right?
Claude's scary.
And the moat anymore is not coding. Mm-hmm. It's not app creation, because you can do it with a prompt, right? So where is the leverage at this point?
Yeah,
it's the audience that you have and the trust that you have with them, and your ability to deliver something that AI can't.
Yeah,
right. So AI can't really deliver an experience yet.
Yep.
So you're thinking about, what is it like for the brands that care about real actors and real people? So you're thinking about, we're probably getting into the 6-figure ad range because we need to have some A-list celebrity or some sports guy or some brand ambassador on camera. Yep. AI is not going to do that because that person's not going to let them do AI, right? If they're a SAG actor, you're not allowed to do it, right? So you start thinking about second, third, fourth order effects of all this stuff. I don't think the answer is create an app, because anymore, it's going to be cheaper for someone else who could be a client of yours at $20 or $200 or $2,000 a month to just go build their own version. Yep. They could literally take your app, plug it in, or open it up on Chrome and plug Claude into it and say, make me one of these with my brand on it. Yeah. And I don't know if it does that, but we're not that far away. And if Claude's not going to do it, some other thing is going to do it, right? So that's not where the arbitrage is anymore. And I'm not an AI guy. And so, take all of what I say about AI with a grain of salt. All I'm trying to do is recognize patterns and then try and anticipate what's coming next. And I think that's a really valuable skill for a business owner and a producer to have. And so if I'm looking at patterns, I was thinking about this actually on the way over. When the tools like Pro Tools for audio or Avid or Final Cut or any of these tools for creative individuals in film, when they showed up in the 90s, do we have more creators today or fewer?
Yeah, we have more.
And it's exponentially more. So I'm not worried about tools replacing people, but they're not going to have the same jobs, right? There's no film cutters anymore. Yep. There's very few people that are like film labs where they're taking film, ingesting it, and digitizing it for people, right? That Kodak filed Chapter 11 a couple of years ago. Like, there's types of film that isn't produced anymore because it's not profitable. So the jobs will be different, but I don't think it's going to replace job. Well, let's say it this way: it will replace actions and tasks of a job. Yeah. But the jobs are going to have to change. Yep. And so, what are you going to do about it? Like, what is the pattern? If the pattern is more tools creates more opportunity for more people, then where's the next gold rush? Yeah. And I don't really like trying to anticipate the moment and be there for the gold rush. I just like thinking about where is it headed. Yeah. And is there, there's this analogy that's always used that like the miners weren't the ones making all the money. It was the people selling shovels to the gold miners. It's like, okay, what's the equivalent of that today? I don't know that I have an answer yet, but that's probably the question someone in your chair should be asking is like, okay, the AI gold rush is happening and our mindset determines what it means, right? So we're looking at, this is what's happening. We're focusing on AI. What does it mean? Is it doom and gloom? Because that's not a great place to run a company from. Right. If it's opportunity and upside, great. How are we going to capitalize on it? Yeah. Where are we going to put ourselves in that ecosystem, in that marketplace, to be valuable for the people that are in it?
It's where the puck's going. Yeah. You're not at where it's at. It's like, where's it headed? Yeah. How do I get there? No, that's really interesting. And just the whole idea of what I was just telling you, and then you just being like, look, Claude will just create that again really fast. It's like, yeah, you're right. One of the things that I've been thinking a lot about, and it's essentially where I want creator to company to go, is take these creative skills, which as we're thinking about this, the creator is going to change like crazy. Mm-hmm. And similar to the 90s when all these tools came out, it created more creators. It added a whole new market of people that were able to create. And it's just normal to us now. But now I think going into that, it's almost going to make way more creators. Yeah. Because it's so easy to get onto chat and have it create for you.
It's nuts.
It's just about prompting it. And then, go ahead.
No, you're good. I'm going with you on all this, jamming on it. So I like looking at the music industry because it tends to be 5 to 10 years ahead of what happens to the film industry, right? First was streaming music and then it was streaming video, right? So if you think about what's happened with the democratization of tools in the music industry, right? Anybody can write music at this point. Anyone can prompt a song at this point. Yeah. So what happens is you look at Spotify and you go, okay, 0.0000 whatever 1% of artists are making $1 million+ a year. Yep. There's the top 2% are making $500K a year. The top, whatever it is, the numbers are, and you can look at the numbers. I wrote about it, I think, in the book actually. So you look at it and you go, my goodness, there are millions more musicians now than there were. And now you don't even have to play music. You just have to be able to write a prompt and reference other music that was made by other people. But the gap between, the number one, the Taylor Swifts and the Beyoncés and the Ed Sheerans and the Imagine Dragons of the world, there's 5 of those. There's 100 of those, whatever it is, that are making, how many artists were nominated at the Grammys 2 weeks ago? Yeah, not many. That's how many there are, right? Like, it's not tens of thousands of people. It's like 1,000 or fewer. Yeah. So, okay, there's 1,000 that are making it, and there are 10 million or 100 million or 1 billion people that are not making it. Yep. It's like, yes, there's more opportunity, but there's not more dollars that are going to more people. Yeah. Right? There's more dollars that are going to the top. Yep. Why? Why does Taylor Swift make billions of dollars on her tour? It's not because she writes better songs. Yeah. It's not because she's a better guitar player. It's not because she's a better singer. There are better of all of those things. Yeah. What is it about Taylor Swift that she has that makes it so that she could sell out an international tour and make billions of dollars and give all of her tour people $100,000 bonuses, and then do a release of the tour in theaters and make $150 million, and then a surprise announce that, oh, I've got another thing that's going to theaters and it makes $33 million in a weekend. What is it that she has that the artist down the street in their bedroom prompting a song doesn't have? And I think it's that relationship and that trust and the affinity and the resonance with an audience of people.
100%.
And that's what she built from day one was the audience.
She's able to connect people.
So who's your audience? How are you going to reach them? And what value are you creating that meets the demand that they have?
Yeah.
And that's going to be the eternal answer, I think.
Yeah.
The people that crack that see the patterns and figure it out, are the ones that are going to be able to make 7, 8, 9 figures a year as a business, whereas every single person on the planet is going to have a production company in their pocket using ChatGPT or Claude to say, make me an ad for this product. Snap a picture. Oh, no, set it in Maui. Oh, no, let's set it in the Antarctic. No, let's set it in China. Yeah. Okay, done. 30 seconds later, they have an ad.
Yeah.
Production company's going away, man. Like, it sucks. But the only way it's going to work for people in your position and in others is you have an audience of people who trust you, and the value to work with you, the experience, the trust, the everything that they get from working with you meets the demand better than hiring some person to prompt for them and get the same outcome.
Yeah. I have like 5 different ways I could take this.
I know, I'm sorry.
No,
I could jam on this stuff all day.
I'm right there with you. I was just going to say, because I Post Malone, I'm a big fan of him just as a person. And that's what I'm talking about, or that's what we're talking about when I think about why I like him. And I've been to a few concerts, and he has a way of making me feel like I'm his friend. And I'm like, dude, I don't even know who that guy is, but for whatever reason, I feel like we're friends. And that's that connection. And then it's like, which I've actually never thought about. And that's why he's where he is. And I'm sure Taylor's done the same thing. Like, they feel seen by her, and maybe it comes through the music. Do people just have that innately? And are they just born with it? Because I have to imagine that's a huge piece of it. Like, it's otherwise so many people could do it. And even Morgan Wallen's another good example. Yeah. I went to a concert just at the Complex a couple weekends ago and the guy, I forget his name, he wrote, I had some help at Post, and Morgan Wallen ended up doing, he wrote most of Morgan Wallen's hits. He's got tons of hits, but he's not that guy. Yeah. That he could sing them, but for whatever reason, Morgan and Post, it's like, why?
Yeah, I think you are onto something. So what it comes down to is the audience that you can catalyze. And so for you and I sitting here today, or someone watching this or listening to this today, they're thinking, okay, I've got 500 followers on Instagram, 5,000 followers on Instagram, whatever. That's not enough to make a career out of, right? Again, it goes back to being oversubscribed or supply and demand tension. So if your product that you sell is a song that you make 4 cents every time someone streams it, how many people do you need to have in your audience in order to make $1 million, $100,000, whatever your number is? Yeah. This is in the book as well. So if you're a production company and your number is, I can serve 12 $100,000 clients a year, okay, I need 13 at least. Ideally, it's 2 to 3 times the amount that you have capacity for. Yeah. So there's a few things I want to say about this. One is, that's your job as the CEO then. If your capacity is 12, you need 24 to 36 people that are interested in giving you $100,000 for a video. Yeah. And that's your job. That's your single task until you have it, right? But it also comes down to what's the model for your business. If you have low-priced items that you sell, like a streaming song, 2 problems with that. One, it's going to require massive amounts of scale, millions of fans, for one. 2, it's impossible to be oversubscribed because there's unlimited supply. Yep. If you put a video on YouTube or Netflix, or if you put a song on Spotify or Apple Music, infinite supply, instant. The moment you do that, you removed any chance of being oversubscribed. So how do you get oversubscribed? Well, you got to have different products. You got to have a tour that has limited number of stops, limited number of seats, and then what happens is Well, there's way more people who want those seats than there are seats available.
Yep.
So now they're $1,500 a ticket, or $10,000 for the good seats, right?
Yep.
Because there's constraints, there's supply and demand tension. You can't have that if there's unlimited supply. So you have to be thinking about, what are we selling? And is it actually a video? Or are we selling an outcome? Or are we selling an experience? Or are we selling trust and comfort and security?
Yeah.
Like, it could be any number of those things. You just got to figure it out with your ideal customer profile and your avatar, right? But you got to then lean into that, and all of your content is that, so that you can cast the wide net and go, okay, every day I'm going to post on Instagram that I am someone who does this thing for this person. I meet this demand in the marketplace. Mm-hmm. So for me, I'm solving the problem of investors have money sitting idle that they would love to invest in meaningful media, but they can't because there's no responsible way to do it.
Yeah.
So their financial planners or their family office or they themselves are saying, it would be irresponsible to put $1 million into this movie. Well, yeah, it absolutely would be. Investing in indie film is a terrible investment if you do it the old model.
Yeah.
And so we need a better model. But if I can be the one to solve the problem of, I have all this money that I would love to put into indie film and I can't, well, who do I become? I become the guy that they then tell their friends, hey, everybody, he's doing it.
Yeah.
We can put our money here now.
Yeah.
And that's what's starting to happen with what I'm building. And so you have to understand what you're selling and what demand it's meeting in the marketplace, and then have enough scale to where you can be oversubscribed.
Dang, that was like amazing. Cause
yeah.
Are you available to consult? Because I seriously need
not
to
for everybody, but
no,
for you, yes.
I mean, you're consulting me right now. I'm thankful that you're answering these questions that I've got.
Yeah.
Because I think that these things that won't go away, and one of the analogies that was interesting that I kind of came to is so many creators on here are all talking about AI. And one thing is painters, right? So back in the day, all these famous painters are painting, okay? And then obviously digital film comes out and digital. And now it's like, now when you look at a painting, if someone's able to still do that, they're offering an experience through these paintings. They're giving someone emotion through these paintings. And they're connecting with an audience in some way, which is online, but they haven't gone away, right? It becomes almost more valuable because there's less painters doing it the right way. So my hope is that as we start to go down this AI route as creators, that there will be less of them, especially the generation coming before us, after us, where they won't ever need to touch a camera.
Right.
And it's my kid, like he's creating, we're on VO all the time and he loves it. Every time he earns money, he equates it to video prompts. He's like, it's like $350 a prompt on VO right now. He's like, oh, that's going to give me 4 prompts or something like that. So it's been fun to watch him go, and I'm actually doing it for myself because I'm learning so much.
That's good.
But I think that people will still want the real thing, right? In some way, and how we're able to take that and become more valuable and kind of have that skill. This is just me hoping, but I also think being the person that's between the business and the AI and being able to not just be that person, but it's so in line with what I'm trying to do. And that's teaching how to have a great relationship with that person that has the money or has the business that needs your service or needs the AI, and just build that working relationship. And it really just comes down to trust, transparency, and like integrity, and being able to communicate with them as a person and not as like, what can I get from you? What can I give you? How do I help you? And then it just goes both ways, right? It's like stuff that's been around since the world started. That's nothing new. And that's the whole thing, is it's just everything I try to teach is built on relationships, because that can't be replaced by AI. That's always going to be a thing. We need experiences. We need to feel. And if we can figure out ways to make people feel emotions using AI, you're good.
Here's an idea for you. I'm going to float. And I think what I would love for the audience to do is apply it to themselves, because it's going to be different for them. But like this image, right? Is that you in the water?
Yeah.
Okay. There's a marketing director at one of the companies that you work with that would love nothing more than to be out there with you.
Yeah.
And if part of your marketing on Instagram was you and the marketing director, and the marketing director's lit up and dirty and having an experience, and part of your behind the scenes is not just here's how we filmed the thing and what cameras we used and a cool drone shot, but it's the experience the brand got to have by working with you.
Yeah.
And part of your budget, there's a $10,000 line item to ensure that they get an extra night on the front or tail end at the hotel, at the resort that you're staying at, or at the location you're staying at. And you're going to take your sweet van and you're going to do some off-roading and you're going to do some fly fishing and you're going to do something else. And you're going to say, look, you not only get an amazing video, but you get an amazing experience and it's curated, and you get to get out of the office and you get to create content for your own brand. So he or she is going to bring their own phone and do user-generated content that says, I'm on set with Tyson Media. Look at this location. Look at these. Look at this. Look at what we're filming out here.
Yeah.
And they're giving their audience a chance to be a part of the process. But now they get to be a part of the process as well, rather than, okay, here's the money. Hope the shoot goes well.
Yeah.
There's probably, I would imagine there's more than 12 of those.
Yes.
I'd imagine there's more than a dozen of those here in Lehi, Utah, to where you could say, hey, and nobody else watching this can steal this idea. This is exclusive to Tyson
I'm going to
Media.
run with it.
But you're saying, look, all of our shoots have a day built in for generating content.
Yeah.
And underneath generating content is brand experience with Tyson Media. So you're curating an experience because you're going to go to these awesome locations. Well, why don't you come with us?
Yeah.
And why don't you bring one of your ambassadors or an influencer that wants to come too?
Yeah.
And they get behind the scenes and they're filming user generated. I mean, I'm just spitballing. It's
No,
all
I love it.
But man, there's a brand that would spend an extra 50 grand with you on a video that's already costing them 100 or 200K because they can't get that anywhere else because no one else listening or watching this is going to do that.
Do it. Yeah.
So all of a sudden, what are you actually selling? Because if it's just what every single video, I mean, I'm half tempted to have you pull up your Tyson Media website, because every single production company website is, we produce great videos.
Yeah.
Here's our reel, super awesome. Here's our team. Here's our cameras. Here's our process, and reach out.
Yep.
Nothing in that is solving the demand that exists in the marketplace. That's you selling what you have.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, if you as a brand, as Tyson Media, are known for experiential video production, there's an idea that I've never heard before.
Yeah.
My buddy Tyler Rye is a photographer. And if you are a bride or a groom and your dream is to have an epic shot of you and your spouse on a mountain or on an island or on an iceberg or like wherever, there's two options. You can scroll Instagram and search for a photographer and then go to a photographer's page and go, okay, here's a shot of them and their camera and their dog. Here's a shot of a product. Here's an event that they did. Here's a wedding that they did. Oh, cool. They do wedding photography. Here's another dog picture. Here's another car picture. Here's whatever. You can tell they're a good photographer, but are they meeting your demand? No. But you go to Tyler Rye's Instagram, Tyler Rye _. He's got like 70, 80,000 followers, and every single image is of a bride and a groom in some epic location, and all he does is adventure elopement photography. So he will create the experience for you and your spouse or your spouse-to-be to fly somewhere with him. He will find the person who's going to marry you. You go up on some mountain somewhere in Patagonia, and he's going to take all the epic shots, and you're going to have those for your wall.
Yeah.
And for the people that want an experiential wedding, destination wedding, and an elopement wedding, there's only one guy for that.
Yeah.
So what is the thing that you can be the only one of these? And sure, someone else might copy experiential video production, but it's not with you.
Yeah.
So what is it about you that's your values and your interests and the things that are going to resonate to where that's the thing that you have with Post Malone and Morgan Wallen.
Yeah.
To say, I don't know what it is, but for some reason I'm going to go to every concert when they come into town. Your brand person, your director of marketing at a company is going to go, I don't know what it is, but I have zero interest in AI because there's just something about working with Tyson that I will never trade.
Yeah.
So what is that thing? That's for you to figure out. But
yeah, that's interesting too, because it's like 5 years ago when I started this company, I put out my demo reel, and one of my favorite lines from it is I started kind of out with like, the skills have been great that I've learned, I'm able to create videos, but I said the most important thing to me has been the relationships I've built and the experiences I've had with people along the way. And a lot of that came from my Supertramp days, traveling the world and being able to just meet people from all walks of life. And I said, I want to take that and put it into film production. And so now 5 years in the business, I'm like, nothing's changed. And it is so much about relationships. And I didn't realize what I was doing till you've kind of put it into words. But giving people an experience when they're on set with us, and when I am on a shoot like we were yesterday, finding out what that is and why they keep calling us back, because we work with clients consistently, and we're all about giving them that experience to where they want to work with us. And then when they work with someone else, they're like, oh, that was not as good of an experience as we had with this company. So you kind of put all that into words, and I feel like so much of this podcast has been for me. So thank you for doing all that.
You represent everybody out there, right?
Yeah.
Like this is something so many people want to do.
Yeah.
Because it's a heck of a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is.
We love being able to film stuff and tell stories this way, but it's going to get harder and harder because of AI. And so I think we've got to figure out what's our place in the marketplace, what's the demand that we're meeting, so that we can do it consistently and profitably and sustainably. Yeah.
So would you say that at this point in your career, you've written the book, you've produced movies, do you see, what are you doing the most of right now? We've really talked about where you are and what you wrote this, but like, what are you producing films right now? Or are you doing?
Yeah. So we have a film that's in development and shooting in April, which is about a month and a half from now, which is crazy to think, 2 months from now. I spent the last year and a half raising a film fund. It's called Producer Fund 1. And essentially it solves the problem. I talked about connecting dots. And the indie film model is really broken. So you have investors with idle or stranded capital. You have filmmakers. You have an audience. And you have the distributor. So there's these 4 audiences that are not really working together. My thought was, well, what would be a model that would bring us all together and work in a more consistent and profitable way? And at the heart of it is Producer Fund 1. So that's the financing mechanism where we're spreading the risk across a slate of films rather than one at a time. So the investors have diversification built in. But if you just did that, that doesn't really solve the other problems, which make indie films not profitable. Yeah. You still have to have an audience show up and be there opening weekend. So part of our model is expanding the budgets to allow for $100,000 worth of development in 6 months required to develop the script and start connecting it with the audience and seeing how it's resonating. Yeah. And then $500,000 or half the budget of the movie. So if it's $1 million budget movie, we're setting aside $500,000 for marketing, and that starts day one. Yeah. So the first 4 people I hired on this movie back in November were marketing hires to say, start creating content and start putting it in front of an audience and do it consistently so we can figure out who this audience is, who is it resonating with, what messages are resonating, et cetera, et cetera. Because my job as a producer now, it can't just be make good movies and bring them to theaters. Right. I have to bring the audience along with it. So the last year and a half has been raising money, and with every $1 million that we raise, that unlocks another movie. The goal for Producer Fund 1 is 10 movies, so a $10 million fund. And we greenlit our first movie back in November. It's called Brotherhood, a cinematic musical, and it's written, directed by Ross Booth. We just today had our casting announcement go out on Playbill, announced it, because we've got some Broadway actors that are a part of our movie. Fun. And so it's happening. We're active development now. We've got our cast happening. All of our key creatives are hired, and we're shooting here in Utah in April. So that's a movie that's slated to come out in October of this year. So we've got a lot of work ahead of us. But what I've essentially shifted to or away from is being a producer who is responsible for everything every day, boots on the ground, there from 5 a.m. to 5 p.m., et cetera, to more of an executive producer or a lead producer that's saying, I'm going to build this architecture. I'm going to structure this thing and build this system and then hire people to run it. So again, going back to the idea of like entrepreneur, manager, artist, I'm firmly in that entrepreneurial role of here's the vision, here's the architecture, I've designed it, now I'm hiring managers to run it, and they'll hire the artist to make it. Cool. So the goal is to get to the point where we're doing 3 to 4 movies a year. Very cool. Using that model. Yeah, it's really cool to like
hear how you talk about all that, and like it makes so much sense to me. Like you're able to put it to words in such a cool way, and I think that's what's been this podcast has been so informational for me. Where do you see all this headed? We talked so much about all these things that like I want to now get into like, where do you see this career going? I know you said 3 to 5 movies a year. Let's look like 5 years down the road. Do you see yourself leaning into more of this, you know, I guess, what is the word? Guru type with a book, right? Teaching.
Thought leadership.
Or do you like more producing?
Oh, definitely more producing.
Cool.
The book was really an end of a chapter for me. So
cool.
I had a business that I started right at the beginning of the pandemic.
Yeah.
We were doing online courses for creators. I was doing consulting and community and coaching and all that creator stuff. And I really was just like, if I'm going to do this producer thing, if I'm going to raise money and do a fund and all this stuff, I have to cut all that off. So, you know, before I started working on Producer Fund 1, shut all that stuff down. The business was called Craftsman Creative. Now I have Craftsman Films. It's a new business and the old one is done. So, you know, I'll do the offhand consulting gig here and there when someone's like, hey, I've got a need for my business. Like I want to help businesses. And if I can compress that into half a day of consulting for somebody and they get my whole model personalized to them, that's great. It's good use of my time and a good use of their time.
Yeah.
So really going forward, it's 100% on Craftsman Films and this producer fund model, and getting these films lined up. And really, if you zoom out 5 years, there's a studio, an independent film studio that's producing 3 or 4 movies a year and has an audience that's consistently showing up. So we're serving the same audience over time. People ask what types of films we're doing. They're values-based, family-friendly films, the kind of stuff that sparks conversation and can change people for the better. And it's all PG-13, the stuff you can take your family to on the weekend. And so if you consistently serve the demand that exists in the marketplace over time, you build a bigger and bigger and bigger mechanism or flywheel that's making it easier and easier with each new movie. So think of the Blumhouse model and how they built that for horror fans. We're doing the same for values-based, family-friendly stuff.
Cool.
And so at some point, we will have an audience of millions of people, which means that 1 million people will show up opening weekend to every movie, which is a $10 million opening weekend. You're in the top 10 of every time you release a movie, and they're all profitable because we produce them at disciplined budgets. So that's what we're building towards, and it's the most fun that I've had. It's also the hardest because it requires so much of other people's agency to be in your favor or aligned with what you're trying to do. So it's a lot of asking people for money, and if it's not aligned, then you go to the next and the next and the next until you find the people that are aligned. But my goodness, it feels way more impactful by like an order of magnitude or two of just quote unquote just being a boots on the ground producer on a single movie.
Totally. It's cool to hear you once again articulate your whole future and like where you're heading, because I ask that question every podcast, and a lot of creators don't know. They just kind of project by project. There's not a lot of thought into the future. And I think it's so important to architect your future and really like whether it steers a totally different way, at least you have a North Star to point to. And
well, that's the first part of the book. So
way cool. 'Cause that's been so important in my life. Like, is like, where am I headed? Why am I doing this? You know, the why behind everything. And so I'm going to read the book for sure. I feel like this has been an amazing podcast for me, and I think it's a must listen to. So
thank you.
I need a bigger audience to come and get all this information.
I'll tell my people on LinkedIn. You'll tell your people on Instagram.
This one's got to go to LinkedIn. I just need to get on LinkedIn.
There you go.
Yeah, because I have like 6 social media accounts I've got just on Instagram. It's so hard to keep up with it all. But doing my thing, keeping it going. I feel like this could be a 4-hour podcast. I have so many other questions I want to ask you, so we'll definitely try to have you back.
2. Have everybody who's listening ask questions, and I'll come back and we'll do a round 2.
Yes, please put your questions in for Darren, and then let's have you back.
Love it.
Especially once we see where AI goes in the next like 6 months. It just gets crazier every year. So this is a filmmaker's journey. This is your guest, Darren Smith. Thank you so much for being on, man. I can't wait to have you back.
Thank you so much.